Eketāhuna Community Board to order. For those who don't know me, my name is Malcolm Alexander. I'm the Chief Executive of Tauranga District Council, and Acting Chief Executive of Tauranga District Council. I am taking the chair at the start of the meeting before members have taken their declaration, and once you've taken your declaration, you're then seated, and then we'll move into to the body of the meeting. We have in the agenda the election of the chairperson and deputy at 8.1, but I suggest we bring that forward. So after the declaration, we can move to the election of your chair and deputy chair, and then that person can assume the chair. Is there any objection to that course of action? Right. Well then, I'd just like to say welcome you all to this first meeting for the training of the Eketāhuna Community Board. The first order particularly acknowledges worship and invites worship now to take the declaration from the elected members of the Community Board. Once you have taken the declaration, you're then formally able to sit as an elected member at the board table. Okay, Scott. Have you got the order?
I do. I have them right here. Thank you very much, Malcolm, and congratulations to all elected community members. I would like to first call up board member Larissa Barclay.
I, Larissa Jane Barclay, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of Eketāhuna and the surrounding rural areas, including Turomia, Alfreton, Haumua, Hukanui, Niriaha, Rongomai, Putara, Rongokokako, Kaipororu and Newman, powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Eketāhuna Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
To now call up Mel Corlett.
I, Melissa Antonio Corlett, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of Eketāhuna and the surrounding rural areas, including Turomia, Alfreton, Haumua, Hukanui, Niriha, Rongomai, Putara, Rongokoko,
speak to that just to go over to make sure, because we are required to give a briefing, not just have the paper on the agenda.
Yep. Do you want to give us a rundown?
Wouldn't mind just drawing your attention to the different acts that apply to you as members.
Yeah.
Speaking around the local government official information meetings that sets out how we constitute and hold these meetings. It's also important information about access to information as well. There's also the local authorities members' interest. Now, this is about being concerned about voting and being involved on items of business that you actually have an interest in, as in like you're a member of that club that the board is giving you name to, and it's a your interest, and your interest. We will also be bringing you forms to fill out your annual pecuniary interest declaration. So they will be coming shortly and they'll be due to be completed to me. Yep. That's a legal requirement that we have to do then. Possibly by the
If I may, through you, yes, I'm listening doing this on the members' interest set. Just note that that also applies where an elected member has commercial arrangements with the council, that the limit on that per annum is 25,000. That's actually quite a low limit. So it bears watching. I think in the past, like when I was out in New Zealand, I had to work with actually the mayor of this district to get ex post approval from the Auditor General to exceed that threshold. That is quite a process and it's not guaranteed. So if you do enter into commercial arrangements with the council and you are an elected member, bear in mind that annual limit is a very, albeit low, is still a very real limit.
They are looking at increasing that under the systems improvement bill.
Yeah, so we'll see how that happens on.
I did read that and I was going to ask how the past situation and dealt with that. But I had a contractor on board, but it doesn't really matter.
If we're dealing with actually, when you're on a community board, it's a little bit different because unless the community board is doing the
Just get money.
then yeah, that's when you have to.
Oh,
When
that's
it's
how
the council,
that was
the board
the
doesn't have any influence on them, we're not a committee of council, we're a separate entity, so.
all right. Okay.
Health and Safety at Work Act, that's very important as well. And we wanted to get up in that. A little bit different than most board members who, you know, be held liable, but elected members don't. Our poor chief executive goes to jail if anything terrible.
So if you're moving anything like flag poles,
Yeah. Public Records Act, now, really important because we're required to, that all of council's records are kept in a records management system. So if you are receiving information from your constituents and if this meets the definition of something that needs to be kept in council's records, please send it to us like this on. We'll keep it documented.
I have something for after the meeting because I left it at work.
Yeah.
Times and
No problem. That's probably the most important one statistically.
Yeah.
And just another one about Privacy Act is probably important as well. About when you're communicating with people, just being aware of information you're sending and not breaching anyone's privacy by sharing their personal information, which is their names, their contact numbers, addresses, that sort of thing. So we can help you with any advice on that. We'll check people's privacy. Unless they say, yes, you can share that information, we don't share that. It's quite often there'll be stuff come to you, but we've blacked out people's like phone numbers and email addresses because that's their personal information. We don't have permission to share it.
yeah.
And again, through just sort of going back to the Weimar, just to re-emphasise the point that was made in the introduction, anything you see is treated as official information, and if it's relating to or pertaining to your role. Embarrassment is not a reason to deny release. So caution everyone to be careful about use of the words, and neither is actually technically using private phone. Because if the private phone is used about official information, that too is caught. So when you're communicating in your role, just be aware of that potentially that's all transparent.
And maybe examples on front pages of newspapers where things have gone wrong through information that's had to be disclosed through the order requests.
Yeah.
Like to keep off the front page of the paper for those sorts of reasons and be there for positive reasons.
Yes, totally. All right, well, thanks for that information, Alan. So if we move on to the setting the meeting dates, we'll quickly roll through that and then come back to the start where we get the thing today. Instead of going through it page by page, basically we need to set the first date for this year, December meeting, and then the report goes through to that where we decide the next year's dates, isn't it? Yeah. So does anybody have any thoughts on changing the day and time, or? I just, the only comment I was going to have would be, I thought maybe the first Monday might be easier to remember. I do have an ulterior motive there, because the second Monday of every month is Scott.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just a quick comment to make with the meeting times. Absolutely, you can determine what's best for you as a community. One thing that I think the community board, having spent 2 years on this as a council representative, that I think you should consider is your meeting frequency as part of that. And the reason why I think you should look at doing that is you do have the ability to still catch up and discuss projects or other things that you're working on outside of the confines of what is a very, very formal meeting. So using this meeting to be talking about the activities that you are doing as a community. The amount of effort won't reduce for you as community board members, but perhaps the impact could increase if you looked at a structure like that. So I think it is worth considering. I know in the last training we had some discussions, brief discussions about it, but that is something I'll be talking to the Dannyburg community board about as well with the frequency. But I think sometimes those doing meetings and those discussions about getting things done can be quite powerful, and they can be more challenging to do within a very strong standing orders-driven environment.
So I read something pertaining to that. If we have an informal meeting at a cafe, perhaps, that has still got to be, the public has still got to be made aware of it. Is that right or not? Wrong?
If it's not a meeting for making decisions, then it's not a meeting.
All right. So I thought I read there was still some kind of
We would
rules
ratify
to follow.
you would make your decisions in this meeting until it was minted. It's about actually doing the actions following those decisions.
What you might be thinking of, Chair, is workshops that councillors have, which are more formal and pretty common across the sector, which is an opportunity for councillors and mayor to debate tricky issues, get a sense of where things are at, more work done. Certainly in the last training, the Ombudsman had quite a drive on to ensure that those were all open to the public, unless not excluded reasons applied. Prior to that push from the Ombudsman, it was generally sort of taking the view as that workshops are sort of confidential, and the council meeting was where the decisions are made. But because most of the substantive discussion occurs in workshops and not at a meeting these days, that's the way. But that's for council primarily. For community board, I'm with Ellie. That would just be an informal get together that may help you resolve things before they get to the board table. The decision must be made.
Having formal meetings, you could have them less often, but have them scheduled so that at the times of the year when you know you need formal meetings made, like making decisions on any grants you want to go out. Like the boards in the previous training decided that they would have, certain funding rounds.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you had your meeting at that time for like organising your Alfred Alden Memorial Award. You need a formal meeting to make the decisions for that, but you could have catch-ups where you talk about how you might be doing these things and bring that all through into reports on to the formal meeting. But it doesn't mean the formal meeting is the only time we meet.
Yeah.
Get things done.
So it's almost like a nuts and bolts meeting. Nuts and bolts, sort of nuts and bolts out.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I think this might be a little bit new, and we do want to see how we can sort of change things up a little bit in this training. A recommendation, because you can always look at changing this as you go through, but perhaps we'd be looking at having a meeting, a formal meeting every 2 months, but then you can have your out of cycle meeting. So at least it's predictable, people know, members of the public when they come along, but that could be of benefit.
Yeah, any thoughts on that? I guess that's one option on the table then, isn't it? Just do a meet every month, but one's informal at the cafe and one's formal. That could be one.
I'm actually thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like the idea that we could actually come together outside of the formality to be able to bring things to the table.
It does feel sometimes that we have a meeting just for the sake of having a meeting.
Yeah.
Not achieving huge things.
It's not a good reason to have a meeting, is it?
No, it's just a fair remuneration. But with the new year, I'm sure we're going to have lots to do in the future.
You better believe it.
Well, did you have any thoughts on that?
I would quite
But we're still happy to meet at the cafe in between.
Yeah.
Right. Wednesday, we're still bringing that to the next meeting later, aren't we?
So we still need recommendation from the board. If you look at the recommendations on page 37, there's receiving the report standalone. And also 1.2 is where you're asked to choose like a day, a date. So I suggest that if you were talking about first Monday of the month, we could make that the first Monday of December at 10 o'clock still with your third start time. Set the December meeting at that time, then we can bring them to talk through about next year's meeting schedule.
Yeah. All right, well, I will move that till we set the next meeting for first Monday of December.
First and second.
It's just the first of it.
Yeah.
And anyone to second that? All those in favour? Aye. Carried. And also, I should have done this first, at 1.1, move that that report is received. And seconded for that, Larissa, thank you. Those in favour? Aye. Carried.
And 1.3 as well.
And 1.3 is that, well, I'll move that we accept that 1.3 that we will move out next year's discussions, meeting time discussions to next meeting. Seconded. Mel, thank you. Those in favour say aye. Carried. So a good idea for me to run through every page of the standing orders, or would you want to just update us on?
Just provide just a general update.
I think I like that idea better than.
I think the focus for members to look at is from page 45. I've just given an outline of what has actually changed. There's not really a lot. Standing orders must always reflect the legislation that's in place. And so over the past 3 years, there have been tweaks to legislation. And even though we didn't update the standing orders every time change in legislation was made, those immediate changes did apply, because you always got to be, following the laws of New Zealand in your meetings.
Yeah.
So this review of the standing orders with the opportunity to just update our standing orders, get it onto our new branding template as well, and with making sure we're compliant with what the legislation says. There is going to be some changes likely to standing orders in the future, with the Secretary for Local Government being tasked to issue a standardised set of standing orders that would be done in councils and binding on community boards as well. And we'll see how that legislation plays out. Should be elected at the end of this year is what they were planning on.
Yeah, try to get it done period just before Christmas, so it doesn't, whether they can achieve that sort of depends on the kind of timetable. I would point out though also this the board's information, they're also empowered the bill passes to prepare and issue a code of conduct as well. I understand they're actually writing a code of conduct right now, but I'm not aware that they're writing a standing orders change. So you might find that the focus code of conduct and then possibly standing orders to the extent they have issues with, well, there's a pretty standard template these days. And they may not know either they have any issues with standing orders. So, yeah.
And the standing orders for the doctor are going to be until they're replaced by any future set that the government might have. What they would decide just to include it. Most council would actually refuse the meetings and standing orders. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's repeating work that's already done.
We will be bringing a report on the code of conduct to you at the meeting that we've spoken to the council to adopt. Hopefully about this week, and then we will send that out to the community. Currently, code of conducts aren't compulsory for community boards to adopt, but our practice at this council has always been that our community boards adopt the same code of conduct.
In the Crown's one, yeah.
It's likely to have more penalties in it for breaches than what we can currently see though. But currently it's not much.
No.
Somebody like to move that that's report of the thieves. No, thank you. And seconder, Chris, thank you. And all those in favour, say aye. No, carried. And that we accept this change, is that how we word it, Tammy? To those for 1.2 for the new standing orders, or the amended standing orders. I'll move that we accept those. If we have a seconder, person, those in favour, say aye. Carried. That was the most efficient standing orders. Right. To our correspondence. '41. We haven't got any reply, have we? We sent a letter to NZTA and got this reply back, and then we replied to say.
Yeah, we sent them another one and then they.
Yeah, can we just keep bugging them? Can we do that? If everyone, because I just think it's a little unfair that tickets have been dealt out because it looks like because it is a 4-lane highway, and people can assume that it's 110, even though they seem to think we should all know.
I'm happy to keep working with Linda, I think it's our motion management on it.
Yeah.
That said, I would just manage expectations. I presume they're not agreeing to it on both for cost reasons.
Well, our answer to that was, well, maybe use your electronic billboard that's already there,
So we're happy to keep pressing them.
Yeah.
Look, I'd be surprised if they change their view. That's the way TTA tends to roll.
Or can we specifically ask just to move the 100k sign from before the roundabout to after the roundabout when the new road starts?
Reason.
it wouldn't be a huge cost, surely.
Yeah.
Maybe give them.
But give them a specific request that they can maybe look at.
And I take your point, after the roundabout as you enter the motorway,
Yeah,
it makes, it's a logically
yeah,
better place to be.
yeah.
Yep, no, happy to do that. Yep, all right. Otherwise, it's just actual revenue rates.
Well, this is what it totally looks like. Yes, yeah, yeah, definitely. It made even worse than just the vehicle revenue look. The fact that there was such a big fight to have no toll on the road, and then all of a sudden that really looks even worse, doesn't it? To not display the speed limit very well and collect revenue that way.
Leave the lobby to the chief.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll happy to take that as a fair point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marvin. And then we're on to our river repairs. I was intending on just giving this guy a phone call because he's got his name and number on the bottom.
Yes.
And just catching up and just to see but Terry from his Navy experience had suggested that concrete blocks and steel mesh cages would be a way of dealing with the issue. And at that time, I didn't want to be trying to tell them how to do the job, but they haven't really. Sounds like from reading that their hands are kind of tied as far as if they remove enough metal, then the water runs deeper and not out into the bank, but they're restricted by laws about how much metal they can take. So that's why I thought I might just give them a ring, and I could probably note that on next meeting if you like, Ellie, if I
Putting in Jordan baskets.
yeah. It's like just following on from I didn't want to tell them how to do their job last meeting, but now that we've got nothing required, then maybe now a suggestion.
Yes, but it's mobile, so.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. So we'll do that. And do we have any word on the Press Road, Marina Road intersection at all?
That's a bit through.
Yeah, I have seen some councils be put out there, so they're obviously doing some looking at it. But we could just keep that on the next meeting too, Ellie, and just to keep following that up. Yeah. But I'm sure that I don't think there needs to be really hugely expensive ways of fixing that safety aspect there, but let's have a look at some options. Yep. And then we've just got our letter of thanks from the two recipients of our grant money. Just always nice to get a thank you. No more comments on those? On that correspondence?
Just wish we could give them more.
Yeah, that's fine. That's all that the case, isn't it? Okay.
To receive the collateral pay.
I just read that, yes. My instructions. Can somebody move that list of correspondence is received, please? Thank you. Press that second. All those in favour say aye.
Right.
Carried. Now that's on to number 10 there, the Eketāhuna time capsule. I've got it at work, but I've got a feeling we actually did deal with this at the time. So all I was going to mention today was, because it's been opened, so I'm sure it's been dealt with. So all I was really going to do today was hand you the remaining contents, which is contents that we can't find owners for, as in they've passed away or reasons like that. So we thought This was Spartans and myself were discussing this, Margaret, and that maybe the council would store it or at least record it. Oh, sorry, no, I've got that wrong. That we checked that the council has got this stuff recorded and recorded if it hasn't been, and then donates the stuff that hasn't been picked up by people to the museum. That's one thing. That's a good idea. Yeah.
Question, Mr. Chair, has the community board given any consideration or likely to give any consideration to putting a new time capsule down? The reason why I ask is sometimes, and I know some towns have done this, when they've relayed a time capsule, they've actually put back in some items from things that were in the original time capsule, so it goes for another cycle. Just to be a consideration as well.
Do we want, what does everyone think? Do we want to look at organising another time capsule?
They're quite special things when they come up. You know, our town have got one to deal with shortly, or they should be open this year. So it could be a part of that process, perhaps.
Yeah, so maybe we just keep discussions with our town groups, and that's something that probably should be done together anyway, really, rather than having a separate board one and a separate our town. Just a town one. Yeah. Maybe we can put that on your agenda, Chris, for our town.
Yeah. Bring it all to town.
Yeah.
With the current one looking at, do we hopefully on the Christmas break?
Oh yeah.
So we're just sort of tying a whole bunch of things together.
Yeah.
Because there was talks with the museum about doing an opening on that day as well.
Yeah.
So it sort of brings a whole lot of stuff in the community happening on that day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Side note too, or the other thing I was thinking just before, do we need to do anything officially with Chris's being a board member? Because
I can speak to that shortly.
yeah, all
Whenever you'd like me to speak to that, speak to that.
right. Okay, well, we'll move on just to comment about the picnic table. It's great to see that it's back, that we have one. And I would just like to have an official thank you to Steve Atkin, who donated his time and his product to stain it for us, so that it lasts a bit longer and looks a bit nicer.
Are you happy with it?
Very, yes.
Well done, sir.
Very pleased with
Well, we do too.
To the staff member, it was like, Melbourne's very much to be done. And it was, yes. So that was,
I said I get my trailer and go to my TV.
no, thank you for your effort on that, Melbourne.
Can I just add something? So Rob said to me that it has a bit of an oblong concrete thing that makes it look like the table's offset, but that's actually to make it wheelchair friendly, so people can come in on the edge.
Yeah, the concrete's level, the ground is not. Yeah. If anyone wants to comment about it, being wonky, it's not. It's the ground that's to be. All right, well, we can item 11, chairperson's remarks. I just wanted to mention that I was going to say Charlie and I, Scott, and people from council, Peter Sinclair, Sarah, yes, all attended a rural support day at Berringham Hall, which was well attended, and I was quite impressed at how much people were there, and I think it had a good effect too. The discussions that were had, and it has resulted in some funding for free fence posts and wire for farmers, which is going to be happening on the 5th of December. So yeah, so that was really neat. Following our weather event that devastated a lot of this area. So that was really real positive to see. Yeah. We can move into item 7 on the agenda if Scott and you can.
Mr Chair, I suppose I could probably fit this into Chairman's remarks, and as you asked about Councillor Corlett's attendance. It is absolutely my intention to recommend to Council to appoint Chris as a Council assigned community board member. I have not done that for the next council meeting, so I didn't want to predetermine the outcome of this. Obviously, we need to talk to the chair and the deputy chair. Chris being someone who was elected onto this board, but was withdrawn because it's a successful election to council and living in Eketāhuna. I think will be very, very helpful. So that is certainly my intention. That is subject to a vote by council, and my hope is that we can bring that to the council meeting this month. So Chris will be a formal member and will take his declaration for the community board at your next board meeting.
Okay. Thanks for clearing it up. Thank you, Chris. And we didn't have any items on the agenda, so I'll bring the meeting to a close and thank you all for attending.
Thank you. And congratulations again, everyone.
Thank you.
Not looking up there and saying bye to Terry.